Welcome to 3 tips for a smooth migration to QuickBooks Online. I am Wendy Barlin, CPA, your host today. I am originally from South Africa, hence the accent. I've been here since 1997, serving US-based clients and always working in QuickBooks. I'm a huge fan of QuickBooks Online, having taken my entire firm and all my clients online several years ago. So I'm really excited to show you today how you can make QuickBooks Online and the migration work for yourself and your clients. The hard work's already been done. Your clients are ready to migrate. I know a lot of you have had very difficult conversations. Change management is not easy, both inside the firm and with our clients, but we're here now and we're committed to moving online where we have real-time access to the data, looking at the same data that our clients are looking at. There are apps that help all sorts of accounting issues make our work easier to understand, easier to read, and of course, the ongoing access no matter where you are in the world. So the hard conversations are done. Here we are, and now we can jump into the nitty-gritty of how do we make this happen. Let's talk about how we migrate. The best way to move forward is always with open communication and clarity. And all the steps that we're going to cover today are things that you can do. I've done them, you can do them, and just know that Intuit has a fantastic resource full of information if you do happen to get stuck. So let's choose our path. We have 3 choices. Number 1 is to migrate data using the online tool. The online tool is fantastic, easy to use. Probably my number 1 way to go is always with the online tool. Your second choice is to allow your clients to do their own migration with their tool, or to use Intuit's resources and get assistance with your migration. So let's look at the first option, which is you take care of all the migration for everybody. And in my opinion, this is the easiest, quickest, and best way to go because you control the process, you control the timing, and then if anything goes wrong along the way, you can solve the problem and look like a hero to your client. So number 1 is always my first choice. Number 2 being where the client does their own migration using the online tool, where your client has a very strong bookkeeper, or where your client is very hands-on and wants to be in control of the process, then certainly they can go ahead and do it. I do offer for them to go to the resources at intuit.com and get the help that they need, because this can sometimes be a little bit difficult to have the client do it themselves. And so this is probably my least favorite option. But again, if you do have a client that wants to do it themselves, by all means, let them. Make sure that the pricing is done accordingly, and just know that there are QuickBooks resources for them to use. My concern with this is that they're going to come to you, to us, with questions. So they want to take on the migration, but then when they get started, they realize that it's much more difficult than they imagined and things aren't going smoothly and it ends up on our plates anyway. I think that's probably the other reason that this is not my favorite. So just to be clear, you want to try and manage all the migrations yourself, but if the client does want to do it, you can either show them how to use the tool or they can use it themselves. The assisted migration is a blend with number 1, because there will be situations, and we'll look at some of them in a few moments, where the client file needs some help or something goes wrong, or the file is huge. I had some migrations where the clients had very huge files in QuickBooks that they've been using for years and years and years. That's when I reached out to QuickBooks and said, can you help me with some of the migration, because it wasn't going to be smooth and I didn't want to have a problem fixing it on the other side. So we're going to dive more into today the actual migration that you're going to do, so I can show you the how and some of the screens that you can look at. As I say, this is not complicated. QuickBooks has done a fantastic job of making this as easy for us as they possibly can, and we can all do it. Where you have decided that your clients are going to migrate themselves, I would send them to this guide that you see on the screen. You might want to cut and paste this and keep it so that you can send it in emails where they have made that decision to go it alone, to be very clear, to give them the helpful guide that they will likely need. And this is the link if you need help or you would like to grab someone at Intuit to help you. And I'll tell you, everybody that where I scheduled a call were extremely helpful. Sometimes it would take a day or two for them to resolve the issue, but they always resolved it, and it was extremely helpful. So please do make a note of that for yourself, as you will likely use that link for some of your more complicated files that you're going to migrate. So now let's look at how does the online tool streamline migration for you. This is where you're going to be doing this work yourself. It works on all versions of QuickBooks. So I know I had some very, very old versions of QuickBooks. I won't even tell you how old because I'll date myself. But I had some very old versions, and there used to be issues where you couldn't do a migration if you were using an older version. But now QuickBooks has allowed us to just have access to a backup file in order to do the conversion. So you don't need to have the most current version of Desktop in order to do this migration. You just need a QuickBooks backup file that we can use. And I think that's opened up a lot of doors for people who saw this as a barrier to migration. Oh, I don't have the latest version. Well, now you don't need that anymore because the tool allows you to, doesn't matter what version you have. Before we jump into the online tool, I really recommend you get your data prepared, because the good old-fashioned rule of garbage in and garbage out is going to be the same here, where we want to make sure that the data we're taking up to the cloud, to our online version, is clean data. So when it comes to cleaning up the file, what do we mean by that? Well, the first thing we want to do is make sure that the chart of accounts is accurate. I don't know about you, but many of my clients have had so many bookkeepers touching their files over the years that the chart of accounts are so long. Many of the accounts they don't even use anymore, or some are capitalized and some are alphabetized and some are numeric, and it's a mess. So this is the opportunity to clean up that chart of accounts. Make sure that the accounts and categories you have are what you want moving forward. This is the opportunity to do it. You also want to ensure that your balance sheets match with the tax returns. We want to be clear that, again, the data that we're taking up to the sky is accurate. The clients sometimes believe that the data is accurate, but before I do any migration, I always have someone on my team check that balance sheet, because it's so much easier to migrate the data when it's complete than to migrate it and then try and fix it up later. One of the issues that we're going to talk about is how we deal with change management, right? You've had a lot of difficult conversations. So we want to be clear with clients that their bank accounts and credit card statements must be reconciled. We don't want to be reconciling after migration. It's going to make the process so much easier if we can have all our bank statements and credit cards reconciled. So again, in cleaning up the books, what we're talking about is chart of accounts that's accurate and useful, a balance sheet that matches the tax return, and all bank and credit cards have been reconciled. The last one I don't want to forget is payroll. Clients have a nasty habit of not doing the best job with payroll reconciliation, so I don't want to forget that, especially as a lot of clients today are in fact using the QuickBooks Payroll function. So please do make sure that you have also reconciled payroll before we start our migration. In terms of timing, this can take some time to do the cleanup. I need you to know, by way of understanding the planning as a business owner, letting the clients know the timing that this is going to take and the fees associated. We want this process to go smoothly, both for us and our team and for the client. And the way we do that is by clear communication about the timing that it's going to take to clean up the file, the timing for the migration, and then presenting the new beautiful uploaded file. So I would be really clear with the client on that timing, as well as the fees and the pricing on it. Just very quickly, before I continue on the pricing, these are the two apps that a lot of people are using to streamline their QuickBooks. There are a lot of other apps out there. These are the two that I have come across. But if you have any others, please, whatever makes your cleanup the quickest and the easiest. So the consideration is, if your clients are not needing the cleanup, so their books are clean and ready to go, great. If they are needing cleanup, we need to have the conversation about pricing. And are we charging for the cleanup? Are we charging hourly for that cleanup? Or are we simply going to wrap it into the fee for migration? We shouldn't be doing this work for free. We want to have a migration fee. And this goes back to the original conversation with the client of the value of being online, right? The huge value of us accessing this online file. And that's what they're going to pay us to do for them. And I have always liked to flat fee the amount, so it includes the cleanup of desktop and the migration itself, but that's up to you. If you wanted to keep the client's fees down, perhaps you don't spend a lot of time on the cleanup before migration, because you don't have to. These are just best practices that will make your life easier. So I want you to think about that. Go to your pricing, your relationship with the clients, and your communication with them. For me, it's always about minimizing the touch points. I don't want to bug my clients. They're busy. And so I want this process to be as simple as possible. So if it's going to be a real headache to get those statements, get the payroll reports, and get QuickBooks cleaned up before migration, then I would probably say to you, just migrate the file and do the cleanup once it's in the cloud, because that is absolutely an option. You can do all your reconciliations once the data is in the cloud. Best practices is to do it first, but if the touch points are going to be a problem with your clients, both into burning time and irritating the clients, then let's just get the data to the cloud and we'll do the reconciliation when we get there. So just know that that is an option. Once you've decided on your path forward, then one more consideration I want you to think about, and that is, you may not even need to do a migration. I have had a few situations where the client's QuickBooks file is so bad. They've had so many bookkeepers touch it, or full of old data, where a client's file is just so messy that we almost want to do over. In fact, we do want to do over. We don't want to spend the time cleaning up that messy QuickBooks file. We just want to start fresh. There have been situations where I simply start a brand new file in QuickBooks Online and don't do a migration at all. You would want to keep a backup of the old data, of course, but we just choose not to do a migration, because all we're doing is taking all the problems and perpetuating them forward. So you can also just start fresh and know that that is definitely an option. You want to create that backup and store it for future needs. You always want to have backups, audit purposes, data. You want to have comparisons. You don't want to lose your comparisons. So you definitely need to have backups of prior data, but you don't need to import or migrate a file in order to start QuickBooks Online. It can be started with no data in it. So now we have cleaned up our clients' books, or decided that they're not worth cleaning up. We've talked to the client about pricing, and we are ready to get going. This is where things get exciting. Now we're going to talk about preparing your data. The next step in the process is to check and configure your client's QuickBooks Desktop file. What you want to do is create backups. You want to have a portable backup, you want to have a traditional backup, and you want to have an accountant's copy. I like to save each one in a different spot. One local, one to the cloud, one on a stick drive. So you always have several backups just in case something were to go wrong. And you have access to those backups. That's the other piece. There will be situations where a client sends you a backup file, that's fine, or where QuickBooks has other ways to get you the data that you need. But either way, you will need that backup file. What you do is you go up to File, the word File in the top left-hand corner, you click on Create Copy and choose Backup Copy or Portable Copy, and then you tell it where to save. Pretty simple. If you need help with that, there are resources on the Intuit website that will absolutely help you get that backup, but it is absolutely critical for next steps. Oh, sorry, I apologize. Here is a screenshot of where you go to make your backup. So when you click File, this is the option to save as a backup, a portable company file, or an accountant's copy. Again, I recommend you do all three and save them somewhere, because in my experience, I like to have all three just in case. Then our next important piece in this is the limits. And this is one of the things that I often heard clients and other accountants talk about. Oh, the file's too big, it won't be able to migrate. So you can check on this screen over here where there's product information for the QuickBooks file itself. It will show you the targets and the limits. So right now the limit is 750,000 transaction targets. But those limits change, and for right now, that's what you want to be looking at, your target number. When I have come to the screen and found a very large number or something unusual, that's when I recommend reaching out to Intuit QuickBooks Online support, and they've been extremely helpful at walking me through making changes to this file. We do have clients that have extremely large QuickBooks files. And when you want to convert historical data and the count is too high, there is an opportunity to condense data. There is a utility which will reduce the size of the file so that you can get it into the online migration tool. For some of you, if that makes your stomach hurt, what you will want to do is use QuickBooks as an assistant to migrate that file. Remember when we started today, we talked about the 3 ways to do this. And one of our options is to use the Intuit resource. And I recommend that. When I have gotten to a place where I have to condense the data, I'm a little nervous to do it, I'll reach out to QuickBooks and get help. But you do need to do that before you start a migration. So the screen that you can see right now, take a look at that. See how the total targets has been ringed in green. That's the number you want to be looking at. You would send your actual file to the QuickBooks data migration team, and they will do the conversion for you. I highly recommend that, because this can get very tricky. And I don't want this to stop you from doing your migration. We need to get online, and I don't want this to be a barrier. This is the error that you'll see on your screen if your file is too big. So if you didn't check the targets, or you thought your numbers were right and they weren't, this error will pop up on your screen, and this will alert you to the fact that you need to make some changes before you go ahead. So what I've put in the slides for you is information about how you can condense the file yourself, or how to go ahead and get some help. Here are the options on the screen. Contact us is to contact Intuit to get help, and the condensed data functionality is above that. So please use those. You do need to make that file ready to go into the sky. The next step in the process is to verify the QuickBooks data for integrity. This is highly recommended. It is best practice. And as you can see, it's fairly easy to find under the File, Utilities, Verified Data. It's absolutely not critical to do, but I do recommend you do it. If you get this message on your screen, then please do contact the Intuit team before going ahead. You can certainly click on rebuild, but when I get to this place, if I am not comfortable doing this myself, I would rather reach out for help. If you have done this process before and you are comfortable with this, then by all means go ahead. But for those of us who prefer to reach out to help, then here's again the intuit.me/contact us information so that you can get the help you need to move your process forwards. So our data has been prepared and we are ready to go. The next important step in the process is to make sure that we have chosen the best online solution for our client. Within our accounting firm, we have a lot of different clients, big ones, small ones, ones that have a lot of transactions, ones that have a few transactions. And then we have some who are very price sensitive. I'm sure you know who those are. So when I am looking at taking a client online, I prefer not to give them too many choices. I make the choice for what I think will be best for them because I am the expert. What you see on the screen now are your pricing and functionality options for the different QuickBooks Online services. I have very few clients that choose Simple Start or where I feel as though Simple Start is a good choice for them. It is really, really simple. 90% of my clients start with QuickBooks Essentials. That will cover most of your clients. And again, I don't give them the choice. I tell them, we're going online to QuickBooks Online. I'm signing you up for QuickBooks Essentials. Here are the benefits. If a client falls between the different opportunities or subscriptions, then we look at how quickly they need to grow. Just know that moving between the plans is very easy to do and can be done by clicking a button and upgrading. So don't feel like it's a now or never choice. I like to start everybody on Essentials when we get started. Then, based on their needs, I will move them up a plan. And the examples of that would be use of classes, divisions. So where I have clients who want to run a report by location or a report by division, they need classes which are not supported with Essentials, you need to move them up a plan. Where clients want industry-specific profitability or they want premium apps, those are not going to be available in Essentials and you're going to need to move them up a plan. Employee expense management, customization, those things are all with the bigger plans. So what I recommend is that you decide what would be best for the client and then show it to them. Because a screen like this can be very overwhelming for them. And many of them are going to choose either the cheapest option or those that want whatever the world can offer are going to go for the advanced version and they really don't need the functionality. So you decide what's best. I like Essentials as my place to start, and then we move them up based on their needs. Clients are looking to us to be the experts. This move is difficult for them. Any kind of change for most people is difficult. So they are looking to us to be the experts. They've made the decision to go online and they've trusted us to lead them in the process. In my experience, having done this for several years now, if I make a recommendation for the plan that they need, they will follow me. They don't want to make any more decisions by way of this migration. Now that they've decided they want to do it, they just want it to happen. So really step into your space as trusted advisor here. Here is what I recommend you say. You will find your own words, but for me, these are the words I use. This is the level of QuickBooks service you need, with the functions best suited to your business. Then there are going to be questions about pricing. There always are. And what I like to do is bring the clients back to the value proposition. Why are we moving online? Rather than get into the nitty-gritty of every plan, every subscription, and what it covers and what it doesn't, I like to go back to why are we doing this? And what do you want QuickBooks Online to do for you? And this is how it's going to work. And these are the benefits you're going to receive, and kind of keep away from the details of every plan, because that's going to be a rabbit hole that is going to delay the moving forward process. So I really recommend you stick to being the advisor here. Now, For those of you whose clients are using more QuickBooks services, and by that I mean outside of just basic bookkeeping. So clients who are using payments, payroll, time, or any one of those. I have a lot of clients that are using the full suite of Intuit products. So you need to be clear that when you're doing your migration, these pieces are going to the cloud also. And we need to be able to allow them to migrate these functions also and make sure that they're being supported with whatever subscription you chose. And some are industry specific, some are premium pricing. So I really need you to make sure that you don't do the online migration and then go, whoops, we forgot about payroll. We need to look at everything that's encompassed in this migration and make sure it all gets done at one time. Going back to our earlier discussion about not bothering clients and keeping this transition process as smooth as possible. There are a lot of apps that work with the online functions, and I put a link at the bottom of the screen for you to take a look. They change often as QuickBooks keeps adding more apps that work with the system. I love the apps. They'll make your lives easier. They'll make the clients' lives easier. So please do go ahead and take a look and see for each client what apps you might recommend. Again, just putting you in a position of being a thought leader and a trusted advisor to your clients. Where your clients do use apps on their desktop version and now you're migrating to the cloud, we haven't covered today the details of how to make sure the apps go with and the data is transferred. So I do recommend that you reach out to the apps team at Intuit if your client is using apps on their desktop version to make sure that all the data is ready to go to the cloud and then that the apps will work in the same way in QuickBooks Online. We don't have time to dive into that today, but please do know that that is going to be part of the process and something you will need to address. So our 3 tips for smooth migration online: clean up your client's QuickBooks desktop files. Make sure your chart of accounts, your balance sheet, and your reconciliations are done. Then prep your data. Make sure that you verify that the transactions will go, that you have your backups. And then lastly, make sure that you have the best possible online platform by way of subscription or plan to support your clients' needs as they move forward. When these steps are done, you are ready. It is time to do your migration. This is extremely exciting. I know you're going to love the process. You're going to enjoy using this online tool. And I'm very excited to see how your clients benefit, as do you, from this online space. More resources are on the screen. Please do make sure you use the wealth of information that is on the Intuit website. And please also know that the Intuit team are there for you to answer questions and help you with your migration. You won't look back. This has been the best thing for me, and it's been the best thing for my clients. Thank you. Again, my name is Wendy Barlin, and I certainly wish you the very best as you migrate your clients to QuickBooks Online.